If there is such a thing as multiple lifetimes, and I know that is a belief in India, then I would say I have already experienced 3 incarnations in this lifetime. I was born in Romania in 1968. 20 years prior, the country had become communist. And overnight, my grandparents, who had been mayors and priests, were considered undesirable. My father was expelled from university and sent to labor camp to mine uranium. Years later, when I was born, my parents refused to buy into the communist propaganda and sent me to state-sponsored nursery schools. And so, like many offspring of once privileged families, I was sent to live with my loving and educated grandparents. The only painful thing was the fact that I didn't bond deeply with my parents and the emotional tectonic shifts I would feel every time I would change households. This feeling of abandonment and lack of stability would mark me, and later on would inform the work I would be doing with Romanian orphaned and abandoned youth. At the age of 6, I went to live with my parents, and only 2 years later, I moved hundreds of miles away to train as a competitive gymnast at the same school with Nadia Comaneci. It was 1978, right after the Montreal Olympics, very exciting time for Romania. There were American film crews that came and made documentaries about our school. Scandinavian queens visited us, and I forged deep and meaningful relationships with my classmates. But there was also a lot of hard work. We worked Mondays through Saturdays, like all communist countries. 6 a.m., wake-up call. 8 a.m., school. 3 to 6 p.m., gymnastics training. A lot of harsh discipline, unrelenting athletic training, strict diets. I remember dessert was half an orange. And also crying under the covers. I really miss my parents. This feeling of powerlessness also informed the work I later did with Blue Heron Foundation. 2 years later, realizing I was an Olympic medal material, I returned home. And for the next 5 years, I lived a relatively normal life with my family. At the age of 15, my parents, who had considered themselves the sacrifice generation, wanted to give my sister and me better opportunities and told us we were emigrating to America. Even though we were emigrating legally, the government confiscated our home and our citizenship. Also, it was a one-way ticket. We were never going to see our extended family again. We arrived in Salt Lake City, Utah, with 4 suitcases and $500. My parents had never learned English, and all of a sudden I was their translator for everything. We had arrived in America unprepared financially or emotionally for America's competitive, capitalistic society. I remember that I was in shock. We had traded a big home with panoramic views for a 2-bedroom rental overlooking dumpsters. Most mornings, I didn't want to open my eyes, but I did, and slowly found my way. I said yes to any jobs, from taking care of babies to old people. And I learned 2 lessons: humility, and that if nothing is beneath me, nothing is above me. As I got used to my new life of bananas, M&Ms, jeans bought in secondhand stores, profound changes were taking place inside of me. Although only a teenager, I pondered, who am I beyond the country, the culture, the religion, the language, the political regime? Who am I beyond my extended family, friends, even social class? The answers slowly healed my bruised and insecure self. My spirit had survived unscathed the transatlantic move and became my constant North Star in my new world. I read books by Indian swamis and spiritual teachers, and I came to see myself as a spiritual being having a human experience. This realization helped me avoid depression, and I started to focus on hard work and education, the two pillars that helped me propel ahead. I put myself through college, working many jobs, received an undergraduate degree in public health. Afterwards, I moved to Los Angeles to pursue a master's degree in applied spiritual psychology. This, my third incarnation, was the time when I felt that finally things were coming together for me, physically and spiritually. And perhaps not coincidentally, it was also the time when I met my husband, a successful filmmaker and businessman. Overnight, my life changed again, financially and socially. You might think it was easy, but let me tell you, it took a lot of adjustment. Part of me was fearful that I might lose everything again, and also I didn't want to give up my old self. Luckily, I realized that no matter where I was, the essential I remained the same. Mark and I got married, and in 2002, when our sons were 3 and 5 years of age, I woke up one night, my mind churning with memories of abandoned children left behind in Romania. As a relatively new mother, it was very painful to think of parentless children. A few months later, I went back to my hometown, Brașov, and visited an orphanage. I remember about 200 children surrounded me. A few of them jumped into my lap and called me Mama. Their spontaneous Mama kept playing in my head, and I knew I had to do something. I returned to Los Angeles, started a foundation, Blue Heron, after the Native American belief that the bird represents going deep inside ourselves and finding our spiritual purpose in life. Later on, I realized that it was really the perfect name because, after all, we take abandoned children under our wing and teach them to fly. Blue Heron Foundation awards college scholarships and mentorship programs to children who, abandoned or orphaned, grew up with no dreams. Our motto, your past does not have to be your future. Our model is very simple: 100 students, 100 mentors, 200 donors, and one dedicated founder who covers all costs and ensures that 100% of all money raised goes directly to the cause. The scale is intimate, but the students who are under our wing, who have grown up without parents, often comment on how it feels like an extended family. We cover tuition, give them a monthly stipend, cover additional courses. We offer them the opportunity to work with a mentor and invite them to an annual summer camp. Our students also have responsibilities. They have to attend and pass classes. They have to communicate with us and their mentor. And also they have to do a minimum of 5 hours of volunteer work per week. The heart and soul of our program are really our mentors, these high caliber professionals who are cheerleaders for our students and who help them during times of difficulties and challenges. These are just two examples. Virgil, a Romanian-American NASA scientist, mentors Aurelian, who is pursuing a master's degree in electrical engineering. And Ileana, also an engineering professor in Los Angeles, mentors Alina, who is pursuing a degree in textile engineering. Often our mentors confess that they feel they get more out of the program than the students themselves. And some of them are even bestowed the supreme honor of becoming our students' godparents. These are just a couple of profiles. It could be any of our students. Elvis, abandoned at the age of 5. We crossed paths with him when he was 19, paid for his education. He is now a medical doctor. Ramona, abandoned at the age of 4. We met her when she was finishing high school, paid for her education. She is now a veterinarian. This is usually when our collaboration ends, when we launch our students, our mentees, professionally. But in their case, we did a little more. We played matchmaker. Ramona and Elvis met at our summer camp, and they got married. Over the past 16 years, hundreds of students flew because of Blue Heron. Children who were once discarded, tied to the crib, their parents' name a blank in their birth certificate, are now upstanding adults building strong lives, strong careers. They are also curbing the cycle of poverty and abandonment, and they've mastered our motto: their past did not become their future. I present to you the Blue Heron Blueprint. We're always talking about big stuff, but this is a very focused, very personal program. My goal is to replicate this very efficient model throughout the world. Already in the Philippines, the Wild Orchid Foundation has used our program to develop a program for children of the incarcerated, both after school and scholarship program. So I have an invitation for you. I want to invite those who are called to give back to poverty-stricken communities to use our model. All you need is students, mentors, donors, and one dedicated founder. That's it. And you too can affect change in the places where it is most needed. Those who are interested, come talk to us, and we will help you develop the program that is right for your community. Thank you.